So a few weeks ago, I came across a story about the upcoming video game RiME regarding how one of the key members of the team working on the title had, in his own words, cried for 2 days after reading some of the negative comments some gamers had posted on NeoGAF. Basically, a source claiming to be close to the developers of RiME posted on NeoGAF stating that the footage shown of the game thus far had been entirely cinematic and was not actually in-game footage, and that the final game would not be the same as of that displayed to the public because the developers had struggled to produce the content displayed in the trailer. Regardless of whether it is true that the trailer was entirely cinematic or not, most people have yet to play the game, especially when it has not yet been released to the public, so claims regarding its actual quality are rather dubious. Then a few days ago, I came across a Polygon article in which it was suggested that Call of Duty World War II was quite simply not inclusive enough, despite the fact that at this moment the only information we have about the game is that of a reveal trailer, a few images, and then a few statements made by the developer. At this point, there is literally no way for anybody to know how inclusive the game is because, it hasn't been released yet. But of course, in both of these cases, a lot of general negativity has been created surrounding issues that at this moment, most people don't even know if they do even exist. The two cases mentioned previously are obviously not isolated cases, in which it appears that gamers became overly negative about a product within the gaming industry for rather dubious reasons. This all kind of had me thinking about what makes gamers angry about a particular game, and whether or not repeated instances of anger has created a community that is overall very negative about the hobby and quick to criticize. So what makes gamers angry about certain video games? There are several reasons as to why gamers as a whole may grow to view a particular title in a negative manner, and any attempt to make a list of such reasons would be an incomplete one. However, perhaps a very basic, broad explanation for why gamers get angry about a particular video game is that it fails to deliver on the experience promised. This can happen in any number of manners, such as developers releasing a game that doesn't live up to the promises made in press conferences, a title that is broken or near broken on release, and developers purposely sectioning off the ending of the title to sell off as DLC. Recently, quite a number of titles have failed to live up to consumer expectations, often due to the level of hype that accompanies a lot of video games nowadays. With the price of video games, gamers will and do get angry if a game fails to live up to expectations, because many do feel that such titles may simply be a cash grab. Probably the best recent example of a title that received a huge negative reaction from the gaming community as a whole due to both hype and false advertising is No Man's Sky. Quite simply, Hello Games made grandiose statements about the game's overall capabilities, which they absolutely knew that they would never be able to deliver on. These statements also compelled many gamers to buy the title, and then when it was realized that the title was not what it was meant to be, Hello Gamers basically didn't really do anything to compensate the gamers they had hoodwinked and kept infuriatingly silent on the matter. Granted, supposedly Hello Games has released many patches that are aimed at making the game closer to what they originally promised, but many do feel that it may be a little too late to try and fix the game at this point. However, the reasons thus far mentioned have only focused on what features video games usually contain when gamers already own and have played the title. There are also instances in which developers release information about a game before it has been made available to the public that results in outcry. For example, announcing that a title will contain a feature that most gamers find undesirable, such as a title requiring a constant internet connection or making use of microtransactions, such as in the case of For Honor. Even if a game is fully functional and provides a worthwhile experience, it may still come under fire for outside factors, such as the idea of a title's overall inclusivity, as the case was with The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt a few months after it was released. Overall, there are a lot of issues that could result in gamer outcry, but are all of them really worthwhile complaints? What are worthwhile complaints? This is a very difficult question to answer because one cannot really dictate what a good reason to raise complaints with regards to a specific video game is, as that is a decision for each person to make on their own. But there are certainly situations where the majority of gamers feel that a certain complaint is worthwhile or ridiculous. Perhaps two good contrasting examples are the complaints that were raised about the state of Assassin's Creed Unity unreleased, as opposed to complaining about what the grass looked like when The Witcher 3 was first released. Most gamers did agree that Assassin's Creed Unity was released with a lot of issues that severely impacted one's experience of the game, whereas perhaps not everybody felt that the grass not appearing to be realistic enough in The Witcher 3 was such a huge issue. Even if you personally weren't affected by Grassgate 2015, you can't really say, however, that it's a non-issue. People pay a lot of money for gaming PCs and do want developers to release games that make the most out of the hardware. However, it is hard not to look at such complaints about the grass in a particular video game, and it's not a situation of complaining for the sake of complaining. Regardless of what a worthwhile complaint is, gamers should call out developers on releasing a title that isn't up to standard and fails to live up to expectations, as this is the only way that they'll really understand that the community as a whole won't go for titles that are incomplete. However, it is important to remember that as with the idea that raising no complaints will lead to no action, raising too many complaints may also lead to the same outcome, where developers begin to feel as if they are in a damned if you do, damned if you don't scenario. However, suggesting that a title lacks inclusivity when the only information that has been released is a reveal trailer, some images, and a few statements from the developer is quite ridiculous, particularly when this developer has released titles that have done quite a bit in this regard. I also won't go into the argument about historical accuracy when it comes to making a game based in the Second World War. With regards to the RiME situation, although anyone releasing any artistic work to the public should expect some sort of criticism, one cannot deny that it must be a strange situation when the public denounces your product as a lie before anyone has even had access to it. So, are gamers overly negative and quick to criticize? I think that while many gamers have become overly cynical and quick to criticize, it isn't exactly without reason. There are so many games such as No Man's Sky, Mafia 3, and Destiny that have given gamers a reason to be rather cautious when choosing to purchase a particular title. I do believe, however, that people shouldn't let themselves be consumed by cynicism or criticize games that they haven't even played on the basis of little or dubious information, and should be more willing to wait until some more concrete information is released before making judgment. This, though, is my opinion, and those who choose to criticize games on the basis of very little information have just as much right to speak their mind as I do. So what do you think? Do you feel that gamers have become overly negative and quick to criticize? If this is true, do you think it's with good reason? Please share in the comments down below. And if you like this video, please remember to subscribe. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.